Chapter 7, Qualitative Research Tools. Chapter 7 is another methodology chapter in regard to how to ask qualitative questions. And this is likely where you're going to end up in your project, but maybe partially for sure. So understanding this is really critical. Let's look at a few things here. And again, I'll go through this pretty quickly in this update video or introduction is not a substitute for reading this. But this goes into things like focus groups, asking questions, definitions, and so on. So what's qualitative research? Qualitative versus quantitative. Qualitative it's sort of like describe your favorite vacation. That would be qualitative. Quantitative is things you can readily put numbers on. We put numbers to qualitative, like relative things like what's hot versus cold. Well, when is it hot or when is it cold and when does it break off? Is it a hard number? And it's a gradual thing. These are much deeper questions, inner meanings and things like that, insights. It's hard. It's easy to come up with these ideas. It's hard to score or quantify your qualitative data. That's where they talk about researcher dependent and insights as far as executives go, or people leading research. That's the key thing, but it's highly desirable to know qualitative things. So it's difficult to develop specific actionable decision statements. Research objective has developed a detailed and in-depth understanding of some phenomena. The research objective is to learn how a phenomena occurs in a natural setting, colloquial terms, or how it's described here, differences between the North and the South, say, or East and West, slang, that type of thing. Behavior of the researcher in studying is very dependent here because you can influence or bias the data pretty easily. So quantitative, descriptive, and conclusive. It's a number. How many people got an A on the test? How many people got a B? How many people got a C? That's quantitative data. It's a math test, right or wrong. It's a number, hard numbers. Okay, how long is a foot or 3 feet or a mile? Quantitative. Now, these are both important. Qualitative is the more nuanced thing and might give you deeper insights. Both are important. You might use quantitative data to help you score or give a range or structure the questions, but these are very subjective. Subjective versus objective is another way to say it. But it's subjective interpretation versus statistical analysis. So Procter & Gamble uses this research all the time, how people feel about things. It might be hard for them to express, but this is part of the research goal, is to get that expression into usable data, actionable information. Data that's not characterized by numbers, so qualitative. I hate to suggest the word it's quality, but quality is a relative term. For example, what's a quality pen? How much should that cost? Well, some people would say $5, $10, $15, $20. Some people would say $1,000. It's relative to your target market. So quantitative represents phenomena by assigning numbers in an order and a meaningful way. So qualitative, very important. Here's a comparison, qualitative, quantitative research. You can see what's going on there. Oops, I'm sorry. Phenomenology, philosophy and psychology, ethnographic. We're looking at anthropology, could be ethnic groups and things like that. Grounded in theory, sociology. This is a more exploratory kind of research basis. Phenomenology, human experiences, reflections. Again, describe your perfect vacation versus how long were you gone. Now, you're going to use both probably, but describe your perfect vacation might say, for some people, it might be a week, might be 2 weeks, might be a day. So it's to put this into context. Reflect upon and interpret experiences. What was your experience like at the dentist's office and things like that? Will I ever learn hermeneutic approach, shopping experiences? We're going to uncover behaviors. People might not even be aware that they're being influenced, but they certainly are, and we're looking for connections, linkages, what might be causing X, what independent, dependent variable type of thing. So push and understand phenomenology that relies on analysis of text, through a person telling a story about himself or herself. Hermeneutic, again, the key linkage. This is powerful stuff. As I said, ethnographic, grounded in theory. Case studies might be part of it. Themes. They show Coca-Cola again with New Coke and how that kind of went awry. Sensory safari uses that research. Playtime. Figure out what's going on. Focus group interviews. This is where things kind of end up. A lot of times it's focus group. Do read through the focus groups very carefully, because you may be, in fact, that might be what your group decides is best for your client, given the time. But remember, this takes some real skill to set this up, but you certainly may do that, especially online, to do it as such. But again, you're going to have to score these things, record it, be very careful with what you're doing. High degree of scrutiny. Takes a fair amount of analysis. Focus group moderator needs to be skilled in questions and getting the group to, questions that are thought of before time. You don't want to bias the group, but you're certainly trying to lead the group. Stay focused on questions. Discussion guide, focus group discussion guides, welcome introductions, and so on. Again, I don't need to read all these because you're going to read the chapter, but it's very powerful. Advantages, disadvantages, focus group versus online. It's as we're all aware, people have used Zoom or I can't think of the app, FaceTime. It works, but it's not quite the same as in-person meetings. So it can be very powerful. Conversations, part of the semi-structured interviews, social networking, and so on. Free expressions, people who drink beer are, sentence completion. So might be another way to do things, to uncover how people see things. But these are questions that you're leading to, as specific to, I would guess, beer drinking. How do you think about that? Again, you need to score these things somehow too, or record the responses in meaningful buckets. How many A's, B's, and C's would be another way to do it. So ultimately it needs to be quantitative. Even qualitative research needs to be quantified. Field notes, colleagues, projective techniques, and so on. I think that's all and there's other ones. It's a menu. This chapter is important. It gives you lots of techniques and advantages, disadvantages. Use this to help you formulate your ideas for your project. So take care.